6 p.m. here in Cairo. My name is Ahmed Nader, and tonight we will be bringing you the latest from the worlds of politics, economy and sports through the news bulletin in the upcoming half an hour. And my colleague for today is Lubna Yahya. Hello, Lubna.
Hello, Ahmed. We're going to start right away with the headlines.
Minister of Foreign, Migration and the Egyptian Expatriates Affairs, Badr Abdulati, reiterated the Egyptian support for Burkina Faso's efforts in combating terrorism and restoring security in its transitional period. The top diplomat made the remarks in a meeting with Burkina Faso's Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Regional Cooperation, Karamokou Traoré, where they discussed enhancing bilateral ties. The two ministers exchanged viewpoints on different regional issues of mutual concern.
Minister of Foreign, Migration, Egyptian Expatriates Affairs, Badr Abdulati, received a phone call from South African Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Ronald Lamola. The two ministers discussed boosting bilateral ties on the political and economic levels, along with a number of regional issues of mutual concern, with Egypt's top diplomats stressing the importance of increasing the trade exchange and joint investments. Both diplomats said that they were looking forward to holding political consultations in the nearest opportunity.
The 12th World Urban Forum wrapped up its activities in Cairo on Friday. The Under-UN Secretary-General, Anna Claudia Rosbach, who is also the Executive Director of the United Nations Human Settlements Program, addressed the forum's concluding forum. Rosbach expressed appreciation for Egypt over hosting the event, saying that she was honored to take part in laying the organizing policies and monitoring the steps taken to bring up the best image of the 12th edition of the forum. She in particular hailed the Egyptian unique experience in linking between the past and the future, being evident in the urban development of the historic Cairo and the establishment of the new administrative capital and its smart use of the vacant lands in building new urban cities. The forum, held under the auspices of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, was organized by the UN Habitat in collaboration with the Egyptian government.
Hezbollah said it targeted a naval base near the Israeli city of Haifa with missiles, the second such attack in less than 24 hours. The group said it targeted the Stella Maris naval base northwest of Haifa with a missile barrage in response to the attacks and massacres committed by the Israeli enemy.
Lebanese National News Agency said that 4 people were killed in an Israeli air raid at a town in the Bent Jbeil region in the southern Nabatiya Governorate. This comes as the Israeli drones and the warplanes continued sporadic raids in southern Lebanon as part of a ground offensive that began on September the 30th. Since this morning, the Israeli occupation army has been carrying out bombing operations inside the villages of Yaron, Aitaron, and Maroun al-Ras in the Bent Jbeil area. The Israeli occupation army also detonated explosives planted inside the houses in 3 border villages. Meanwhile, Hezbollah said that it is engaged in fighting the Israeli forces in the same area.
At least 21 Palestinians were killed and others wounded in Israeli bombardment across the Gaza Strip. An Israeli airstrike killed 8 people in the vicinity of the Daraj clinic in central Gaza, and 4 people were killed in an attack against a house in Manshia district in the Beit Lahia town. Another 4 people were killed in a raid against a house near a hotel in northwestern Gaza City. In Khan Yunis, 2 Palestinians were killed after Israeli strike hit a tent for displaced people. Another 2 Palestinians were killed west of the Nusayrat camp, and the Palestinian officials say Israel is carrying out a plan of ethnic cleansing. Residents in northern Gaza say no aid has entered Jabalia, Beit Lahia or Beit Hanun since an Israeli ground offensive began on October 5th. As of Thursday, the health ministry in Gaza said the war death toll increased to 43,469.
In northern Gaza, several Palestinians were injured after the Israeli shelling of Halima al-Saadiyya school in Jabalia as an Israeli ground offensive continued for 34 days. Residents say no aid has entered Jabalia, Beit Lahia or Beit Hanun since the operation began on October the 5th. Palestinian officials say Israel is carrying out a plan of ethnic cleansing. Meanwhile, the health ministry in Gaza said that the war death toll increased to 43,508.
The UN Human Rights Office said nearly 70% of the fatalities it has verified in the Israeli war in Gaza between November 2023 and April 2024 were women and children. The office condemned Israeli systematic violation of the fundamental principles of international humanitarian law. It showed that in 88% of cases, 5 or more people were killed in the same attack, pointing to the Israeli military's use of weapons with an effect across a wide area.
The U.S. State Department said that Israel has informed the United States that it will open an additional crossing for aid into Gaza as the U.S. imposed deadline looms next week. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and the Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin have given Israel until November the 13th to improve the humanitarian situation in the besieged Gaza Strip or risk withholding some military assistance from the United States. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller said that Israel, after recently reopening the Erez crossing, has informed the United States that they hope to open an additional new crossing at Kesofim in the next few days.
Dutch authorities said that attackers assaulted Israeli fans overnight after a soccer match in Amsterdam, leaving 5 people hospitalized. Dozens were arrested. Friction had been growing in the days before the Europa League game on Thursday night between Ajax and Maccabi Tel Aviv. Ahead of the game, Amsterdam authorities had banned a planned pro-Palestinian demonstration near the stadium. Video also showed large crowds of supporters of the Israeli team chanting anti-Arab slogans.
Turkey's President Tayyip Erdogan said that he invited the U.S. President-elect Donald Trump to visit Turkey after a phone call on Wednesday in which he said that Trump spoke very positively about Turkey. Erdogan said that he hoped Trump will tell Israel to stop its wars in Gaza and Lebanon, suggesting a good start would be halting the U.S. armed support to Israel. Erdogan added that Trump has made promises to end the conflicts.
U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has named Susie Wiles, the de facto manager of his victorious campaign, as his White House chief of staff, the first woman to hold the influential role. Wiles largely avoided the spotlight, even refusing to take the mic to speak as Trump celebrated his victory early Wednesday morning. Wiles' hire is Trump's first major decision as president-elect and one that could be a defining test of his incoming administration, as he must quickly build the team that will help run the massive federal government.
Hurricane Rafael has strengthened back to a Category 3 on the hurricane wind scale, and some additional strengthening is possible. The U.S. National Hurricane Center said in the latest advisory that Rafael was located about 610 miles east of mouth of the Rio Grande, packing maximum sustained winds of 120 miles per hour.
Russian bombardments of Ukrainian cities overnight killed at least one person and wounded more than 3 dozen more as Moscow escalated its bombing campaign of civilian hubs. The Air Force said Moscow had launched 5 missiles and 92 drones, as well as the glide bombs across Ukraine overnight. Its units downed 4 missiles and 62 drones. Authorities in Zaporizhia said the toll from that attack had risen again to 10, while an advisor to Zelensky's chief of staff said among those killed were 3 members of one family. In Kharkiv, 25 people were wounded in attacks on residential and commercial districts of the city.
South Korea fired a ballistic missile into the sea in a show of force after North Korea's recent salvo of missile launches. The details follow.
South Korea fired a ballistic missile into the sea in a show of force after North Korea's recent salvo of missile launches. The nuclear-armed North had test-fired what it said was its most advanced and powerful solid-fuel intercontinental ballistic missile ICBM, as well as a number of short-range ballistic missiles in separate drills over the last 2 weeks. South Korea's military command said its live-fire exercise was aimed at demonstrating its strong resolve to firmly respond to any North Korean provocation. It also underlined its capability and readiness for precision strikes against the enemy's origin of provocation. Seoul's military command said a Hyunmoo surface-to-surface short-range missiles was sent into the West Sea in the exercise. South Korea started domestic production of short-range ballistic missiles in the 1970s to counter the threats posed by North Korea. Hyunmoo are a series of missiles which are key to the country's so-called kill chain preemptive strike system, which allows Seoul to launch a preemptive attack if there are signs of imminent North Korean attack. In early October, the country displayed for the first time its large ballistic missile, the Hyunmoo-5, which is capable of destroying underground bunkers. Last Sunday, South Korea, Japan, and the United States conducted a joint air drill involving a U.S. B-1B bomber, South Korean F-15K and KF-16 fighter jets, and Japanese F-2 jets in response to the North's ICBM launch. Deputy Prime Minister for Industrial Development, Minister of Industry and Transportation, Kamil al-Wazir, witnessed the signing of a memorandum understanding between the Egyptian holding company for maritime and land transport, owned by the Ministry of Transportation, and the Djibouti Ports and Free Zones Authority. The agreement covered cooperation in the fields of upgrading and developing ports, establishing a new logistic zone, as well as new and renewable power plants in Djibouti. During the signing ceremony, Al-Wazir hailed the agreement, which he said reflects the deep ties binding Egypt and Djibouti, noting that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has directed offering all aspects of cooperation to Djibouti in various fields.
The United States, Britain and Sweden all cut the interest rates this week, even as Donald Trump's U.S. election win introduced a fresh element of uncertainty, given the threat of higher tariffs. The Federal Reserve has cut the key interest rate by a quarter point in response to the steady decline in the once high inflation. In their meeting, policymakers voted unanimously to reduce the interest rates by 25 basis points to between 4.50 and 4.75%.
Egyptian Premier League second round resumed with 3 encounters. As we are speaking now, Al Zamalek are playing against Smoha at Al Geish Stadium at Burj Al Arab. The White Knights took the lead in the second minute through Nasser Mansi. Petrojet are also playing now with Modern Sports at the Military Academy Stadium, while MB will meet Pyramids at the Petrosport Stadium at 8 p.m. Cairo local time. Overnight, Al Ahly secured their second consecutive win this season after defeating ZFC 1-0 at Arab Contractors Stadium. Tahir Mohamed Tahir scored Al Ahly's goal in the 11th minute to raise the Reds' points tally to 6 at the top of the league.
And Eintracht Frankfurt overcame Slavia Prague 1-0 thanks to Omar Marmoush's goal direct free kick, and they remain 2 points behind Lazio. The Egyptian clipped the superb free kick in off the crossbar shortly after the break. Eintracht Frankfurt are second in the standings behind Galatasaray on goals scored after Omar Marmoush's 13th goal of the season. Athletic Bilbao are third, separated from Eintracht also by a goal scored after coming from behind to grab the 2-1 success at Ludogorets. And this brings us to the end of the news bulletin for today. Thank you for watching, and thank you, Lubna.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.